Welcome to Techstination, and with us is Professor Alain Kornhauser, the Director of the Autonomous Vehicle Engineering, a faculty chair of that at Princeton University, and you've just wrapped up the first annual Princeton Smart Driving Car Summit. This was a multifaceted conference, self-driving cars, public transportation, shared autonomous vehicles. What should consumers know about what's coming down the road?
Well, I think that what consumers should know is that we will have some mobility options for them that will change their lives. I think that, and it's coming very soon, and it'll come to really change their quality of life.
When you talk about changing their lives, is it just that, hey, I don't have to drive the car now, or is it there a lot more to it than that?
Well, that's part of it. Right now, the car moves us around, and we're captured by it. We have to drive it. We have to do it.
We have to own it typically too.
And typically, we have to own it. And so it is a big burden on people. Of course, advertising by the car makers make us have fantasies about having it, and we think we have to compete with our neighbors and so on and so forth. But it really is a big burden. And so many of your viewers might be fascinated with Downton Abbey. I mean, Downton Abbey, they had chauffeurs. People were chauffeured around. In some sense, this will be coming to everybody in America, and maybe not that distant future.
How good is the technology to implement this in 2017?
It's not good enough. There's no doubt about it. It's not good enough. But it's amazing how good it is becoming, and the rate at which it's becoming good, and the number of people and the amount of investment that is going into making it really good. And so if you basically track the dynamics of this, there are a number of very good people with enough financial resources behind them to make this really good.
Are there particular companies, ideas, technologies that we should be really watching here?
Well, of course, in the artificial intelligence area, there are all of this deep learning that is really only 5 years old in terms of really advancing this. And it's not just Big Blue going out and winning chess. It's more the Go championship being in deep learning, but it's everything else in language processing, in terms of what is behind Alexa and all of this. And it's all coming, and a lot of it is being focused on how to learn how to drive well. And so all of that process is being applied there. And I think that we will be able to train these things to drive really well with relatively little compute resources and low power consumption.
It's confusing to consumers to some extent because they hear about companies like Tesla saying they're going to have a car going cross-country by the end of this year that will be able to drive itself, and the capability is built into a lot of their cars, or if not all.
Well, I think they're an important step in the process. The car really can't drive itself all the way across the country. It can do much of it, and it still needs the human supervisor in there to be able to take over in the places where it doesn't work well. And there are still a number of issues that we need to deal with respect to obeying the law or not obeying the law, laws that were made for human consumption as opposed to rules of the road or traffic regulations that are made for now computer consumption. They're very different. With respect to humans, we might be able to game the system a little bit. So we say, hey, the speed limit's 55, but we all know that we can add 9. Well, the algorithms don't deal that way. Sure, we can make them behave like us, but we really don't want to. We want straight up, what should the speed limit be? Is it 64? 64, fine, tell us. So I think that's what the Tesla is going to need to really be able to drive across the country. If the Tesla comes across the country the way Audi did a year or so ago, obeying all the traffic laws, it's going to be a menace out there. I'm not sure exactly what Elon Musk is going to do with his car going across the country, and is he going to try to cheat a little bit with respect to the speed limits? In some sense, I hope so, because if he does obey the speed limits, other cars are going to be honking, and maybe he's going to be causing accidents and crashes because of it.
It's kind of funny to think of it that way. Yes. What is this going to mean, do you think, this whole area? When it comes to private ownership of vehicles?
I don't think we'll own them. Why would I want to? Why would I want to? I mean,
this comes from, I assume, a guy who's pretty much a car lover, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I've had a few cars myself. We have 2 drivers at home. We have 4 cars. Whatever. But I don't think I'll ever rent a car at an airport again. Why? Because there's Uber and Lyft there. And in some sense, I can afford Uber and Lyft, and it's just so much easier just to bring them up on my phone and have them, chauffeur me, and I'm in the back seat doing whatever the heck I need to do, and they drop me, and I don't have to deal with parking it. I don't have to deal with paying parking at the hotel. I don't have to deal with driving it. If I'm tired, I can snooze. Now, if you not bring this so that it's really available all the time, I'm not going to buy one. Why? Why would I want my own? I mean, I'll use, then I'd have to wash it, then I'd have to whatever. I don't think so.
So many implications for society. Among them, I think, municipal budgets, which can be dependent on traffic violations. I mean, there's a lot to think about, isn't there?
Too bad. Well, I think municipalities are going to have to look at it. Look at how much they pay for the police force that they have that are executing those things. So I don't know what it is in Princeton, but I would suspect half of the police force is focused on, whatever, making people behave on the road. Well, all of a sudden, if you have algorithms on there that are driving the cars and they're programmed, of course, to behave, then we don't need half of the police. And
parking meter revenue disappears. All but disappears.
Too bad, because now we can use the space that the parking meters consume to either be better public space for us all, or in fact, I think that the tax revenue that you could generate with making proper use of that parking space is going to be greater than what you're generating out of parking revenues. I could be wrong, but I haven't looked at the numbers, but somebody should check me.
The safety aspects, the number of lives and injuries that would be saved or prevented here, that alone.
And heartache. I mean, it's not just the lives, it's not just the injuries, but it's the ruined lives that those things cause. Okay? Because there's all the other, sort of downfalls that occur all around there. So if somehow one of my children were to be killed in an automobile accident, I mean, that ruins me for a while, if not for a very long while. And you can think of all the family disruptions it causes this. So it's not just, that act in and of itself. This is bad. We're killing basically a plane load of people a day now in this. I mean, we should cut it out.
First annual conference, what needs to happen now?
I think,
second annual conference, but besides that.
Yeah, no, we decided to schedule a second annual, so whatever. But I think hopefully the people that will come back here, the reason why we had this and we had the discussion is it's going to take a village to do this, if not a nation. And I think the people, we had a lot of discussion. It wasn't just one-way conversation. It was interaction. I think you have to agree. And I think everybody will go back a little bit more focused on the issues, on both the opportunities and the challenges. And this is a problem we have to work. We're still at the very beginning of this, and we have an enormous opportunity to, again, improve the quality of life of very many, if not everybody, people.
Give us the website where people can go to get more information about all this and what you're doing.
Well, I don't know. Well, the website where I put out my newsletter is smartdrivingcar.com, and you can basically look at my comments on other people's writings and so on this, and also get a lot of information, and that sort of leads you to places where you can go. But and come to Princeton, let's talk.
Alain Kornhauser, thanks for taking the time with us.
Happy to do it always, Fred.